All right, I think I'm live. I'm hoping I am. Anyway, there we go. Um, it's Dawn from the Art and Aphantasia, I guess, channel, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, here's a couple of the more recent ones that I have done of the tools. I'll show you one more that I finished. I'm going to leave this one in black and white. Might do some touch-ups. I think I have a little bit of touch-up here, and I may go more canary dandelion yellow, so to speak. This is a little bit soft on this plunger, and I know that thing is, maybe it's a little bit more yellow orange than I think. Anyway, so I'll probably touch that up, but I'll let these two dry a little bit and I'll get the other one. And so this one I'm really liking, and it will go in a floater frame. Sorry about all the noise out here. I'm enjoying the weather. It's supposed to be, it's nearly 80, and in Minnesota we take that when we can get it. Anyway, so and this is an old whisk I have from, like, I'm gonna guess 1940s, 1950s. Not sure. You know, they don't make, well, I've never seen them like this, but it does have a wood handle, and it is more bulbous, like an onion down there. It's so when we get to when I get the prints, which will probably be, I'm gonna guess, you know, end of June or something, maybe middle of June or whatever. And I'm not sure. There's parts of this I don't like. I'm not worried a ton about color, but I want them to look good too. But anyway, I want them to look in the final part. I want them to look how the print will look. So I don't want to take any photographs until I'm sure. And then once the photographs are done, then I'll put a varnish on these to help seal them. And then when those are done, then I'll mount them on these floater frames. And I'll just throw this one up here. I'm almost done with this, I think. I like most of this. I'm just not sure about this area, so I like the softness going, but not quite all of this. It seems like it was a little bit too much there, so maybe just bringing in some kind of where it's this nice brush stroke on there that shows. And the reason I'm showing you that is because I forgot to take off the protective stuff on this aluminum panel. So I have 8 of the tools done. So I have the paintbrush, the plunger, the whisk, then I have the hammer, the drill, the trowel, the pliers. There's one other thing. I'd have to go look upstairs. I thought I had 8. Or maybe this will become 8. One of these sides on these aluminum panels seems to have a little bit more of a brushed side to it, which gives it just this tiny bit of tooth, kind of almost like tiny little ridges. And I wish I would have known that, because I think I painted on one side and not knowing that there was a difference because it didn't say that on the description when I bought them. So anyway, that's good for you to know. I did order some more of these because I do really like them very well. They are kind of problematic in figuring out how you're going to. I suppose you could just get a regular frame and just without glass, and you know, frame it that way. But they are. You can see they're super thin. I suppose about a quarter of an inch at the most. I feel like it's a little thinner than a quarter of an inch. And the reason I'm taking off both sides of the protective panel is because I'm not using this, and I don't mind if it gets roughed up because I probably will rough it up with some sandpaper before I mount my pieces to the floater panels. Which are very, very nice. I think I can go grab one. So this will be still wrapped up, but let's see what I can take off here. So this company, I think it's Artisant. It's ARTSCIENT. They custom make frames. And I was very, very impressed with this company. I'd never used them before. I did a very big order with them. And their customer service and their packing is amazing. So this is a floater frame, but it has a spacer in it. And I can kind of show you the back here. And you can see these are screwed in. I'm a little bit close to my camera, but that's okay. They're screwed in here, these spacers are. And what that's going to do is when I'm going to apply some glue here, and that's what kind of glue I'm going to use is going to be the trick, because sometimes metal is not that great to glue things. But I'm thinking E6000. And then that'll get mounted into these like this, and then the panel will be almost even with the front face of the frame here, but it will appear that it's floating. And I think this was a blueberry, so it's, you know, it's well, you see a lot in the galleries, you know, just kind of the maple or white. I don't know if they make birch ones, but anyway, so very, very super light colored, which is very neutral to the whatever, you know, is on your artwork here. And so all my tools, you know, will be mounted in these, the original paintings and the reproductions. So the reproductions, those are prints, so I will find a material similar to this, but I don't need to use these. I can't remember how much these cost, but that would be kind of a waste of money. I can do it with something archival on there, but not the aluminum panels. So today what I'm going to do, this is against my better judgment, but I'm going to do it anyway. Oh, and let me just tell you one other thing with that company I was telling you about. Where's the top of this? Okay, it's almost all in there. That company, I had an issue with, I had a different frame, that's a bigger frame, and it was supposed to have that spacer bar in it, and somehow it just got missed, and not a big deal, that things happen. But so I called them, or sent an email this morning. They called me back. I missed the call, so I called them back, and within, and they were great about which one it was, and what to do and stuff like this, and then I think I got an email like a half an hour later saying it was shipped. So that's how good this company is about, if something's not quite right, they take care of it immediately, and was like, that was amazing to me. So today I'm going to be doing one of those ice cream scoops, or also known as a disher. It has kind of that, I think it's a squeeze thing. So you dip it and squeeze it, but it's got like one of those little bent like wires, very flattened out, not a wire but a piece of metal that will scoop out, or it will remove the, whether it's cookie dough or ice cream or whatever. Now, I own 2 of these, but I had just purchased them recently. So up until this time, I have never owned one, and I've never really used one much. So my new friend Dawn, who is a director at an art center here, she goes, I think that would be really good though, because you aren't so familiar with it. Just to see what you can pull out and how much, because that will be definitely a challenge. Where now, like my paintbrush, I've held a paintbrush practically all my life, but that was a house painting paintbrush, not like, not like one of these here, but anyway, so and the same with the hammer and the, so those were, really more familiar tools. And while this is familiar, it's not in my wheelhouse. So proportion-wise, I'm going to try and get this in. So I feel like that's a good circle. I don't know how well you can see that, but for the thing, but I'm just going to draw a line down just to give me, looks like a Tootsie Roll Pop at the moment. Okay, and I know one part of the handle. Okay, I just don't know how well you guys can see. And I want you to be able to see, and I can't tell because everything's really, I got small screen. Okay. And I know one part, this thing squeezes. Okay, so, but is there I feel like there's a, like a thumb button, but I don't know if there is one on this one. I don't know if there's 2 different types. But I feel like this one squeezes. So I feel like it kind of goes like this. So then in that case, if this one squeezed more, There's got to be something. Oh, it seems to me there's a, where does that, whoops, maybe that sticks out a little bit here, and then, so there's probably like some kind of spring in there. Boy, all right. Because I think when you would squeeze this like this, this probably isn't there. Maybe there's two of them. That this, you know, that wherever the, or maybe there's like a big, I don't know, springs that goes like, would it go that direction? So then it would flatten out. But I don't know if we see that. They'd catch a lot of crap. Oh man. I can't believe I'm doing this. This might be one where I want to say one side of the handle is like a little fatter, a little bit more sturdy. So it's probably this one, because if I am right, there's some kind of spring. Maybe the spring is hidden in here. And then these go out here. And then when you press down or squeeze, these flatten out. And then somehow that also makes this thing that's in there move. All right. It's not the color I want. It's okay though, I can kind of just. So this is just for proportion. Oh, I just discovered I have all kinds of cords trying to be part of my oil paint. I'm not a neat painter. Also, when I paint, a lot of my mixing happens on the canvas. Looks kind of big. I've noticed too that when I'm painted kind of low. I mean, my eye level is very low because I probably should bring a different chair out here. And so whenever I get up and go get something and come back and I look at this, I immediately see things that are wrong. So I have to do a lot of fixing too. Yeah, I think the spring is there. I don't even know if it's a spring. But so something, but I want to say there's a thing that goes like this. That comes across. Too bad they're Now somehow this is going to connect to all of this. And there's going to be something. So if this so if this handle moves somehow, maybe it's connected to this thing. And as it squeezes in, it moves. Some people are brilliant. I don't know. There's got to be some kind of rivet or something that holds that down. I feel like I have a windmill now. All right. It's got to be not too terribly wide. You need to be able to get your hand around it so you can squeeze it. All right. Maybe I'll move this up a little bit. Just a little bit. Kind of feel like it's actually a little bit big too. I have two different sizes, so neither one is terribly big. All right. I will go in with some weight. National Weather Service said something. I'll do a quick check because we were maybe supposed to have some storms. Oh. Good. This is not cool. It says the National Weather Service is on heightened alert after recent threats from a militia-style group that believes the agency's Doppler radar systems are being used as weather weapons. Oh, well, who knows, but I don't know that source. All right, I'm gonna start putting in the background here. Kind of work my way around this little skew. I might move the whole thing up a little bit because I'm sitting kind of at the bottom. That happened with my whisk. So maybe I'll just mark that a little bit, see if I can remember it, and then maybe move this all up here. And again, I'm just using a burnt umber and a titanium white, I believe, to just do a monochromatic painting so that I can, develop the forms, and the three-dimensional quality of the object first. And while in some spaces or places on my paintings for these, I have done some glazing, which is just a very thinned out paint, and you glaze over the monochromatic. I use it more probably as a guide, because I end up tweaking so much anyway. Okay, so that would go up more. As I've been doing these tools, there's a good consistency in my paint, in my mark making, which I'm happy to see that. I'm really diverse in the stuff I create. So sometimes it's hard to tell that it's me that has done all these different things. And not that that's bad, not that it's great. It's kind of indifferent, but it is nice to be able to see something that I like emerging out of this body of work. Oh, I was going to listen to an interview. That's was sent to me about Aphantasia. Oh, well, that was interesting too. I haven't listened to it yet, so I meant to listen to it. I heard it was really good. But anyway, the other day I went to a little local store here in my town. It's a little organic. They don't sell a ton of fresh produce, but they do sell some, but then they have a lot of other things. And it's a small store, but they do carry, and they carry more and more. And anyway, I went there, and I don't get there often. I don't even know. Oh, she just asked me, what I was working on these days, what I was doing. And I told her about the grant and the Aphantasia, and turns out that she and several of her daughters do. She has a large family. I'm not sure how many kids. A lot, maybe like 10. Anyway, but she wasn't sure about the boys, and I thought that was interesting. So, first of all, of course, just meeting another person with aphantasia is always interesting. But that her daughters did, and she said, yeah, it's, she just went on, but that they felt like it was genetic, and I'm not sure, and I think that was kind of all the further they went, and I had met. I don't know if I told you this story, but I went looking at a new couch because mine's about 25 years old. It's seen some better moments. Anyway, I haven't bought anything, but I was at both places. There's two places I went to, and I was at both of them for quite a while. And one's an outlet store and one's their main store. So it's the same business, just two different buildings and stores. And so I was talking again. Oh, the one girl said to me, she goes, "What are you going to do the rest of your day?" I'd been there for nearly 4 hours between the two places, and I said, I'm going home. I'm tired. I said, maybe I'll paint, and and one thing led to another. Told her about this, and she looks at her friend and says, "Hey, that sounds like," I'll just say Molly. Keep her name out of it, but and sure enough, Molly had it, so I went back down and talked to Molly for the longest time, and she didn't even know what it was called. She was aware of it, but she didn't know anything much more about it. And so, I told her about that, and I told her about the Aphantasia network. So, is it looking like a scoop? Maybe. Oh yeah, no, I thought maybe they went. I could go to that. I'm never really gonna know. Not until we get this cube out. I'm gonna flip this upside down. I have to think about what color I want to do this. I'm leaving the paintbrush. You saw earlier, black and white. I was originally going to do the plunger in black and white because I thought that would be fun, but for some reason pink screamed and said, no, put me on your painting. And so I have the pink there, but what I've been trying to do is use a different complementary color for each tool I do. And I suppose there's 12 on the color wheel. Well, yeah, but I mean, you're going to double up on complementary colors on this. So to try and kind of just make nuances, but like the whisk, I mean, that was working with complementary colors, but in a pretty, let's just say it was stretched. Pushing it there. So, all right. Yeah, let's see. There's going to be an edge to the scoop, although it's thin, but I want it to show on here. So kind of leave a little room there. And this is going to be reverse, so to speak, as far as I need to go darker in there in this inside. And then get lighter as we go. Get to the edge, and somehow I have to figure out, because this is metal for some reason. Don't ask me why I decided to do all these metal tools, because painting metal is not something I'm like comfortable with whatsoever. And I think before I put in, I'm just going to try and establish that edge. And maybe a more circular circle. I'm using a brush that's very nice. Wasn't cheap. But most of the brushes I have are nothing fantastic, but I think I bought 2 of these, and they're made by Rosemary and Company, and I can get this. I don't know what kind of hairs are used for the bristles, but I can get this to have just the thinnest of edges when I wanted to, and just flip it over. And this is, I think what I like about the brush is it's allowing me to make some marks stylistically that fit right into my aesthetic. I like mark making on oil painting a lot. And what I mean by that is I like that you can see, a brush stroke and how the artist went in. I should make a little bit of a, I don't think I'm ready for that, but I want to do it while I'm thinking of it. So I don't know exactly what happens there, but I'm gonna, okay, there's probably a little bit of a something on that side. I wanted to get that little band marked at least. So even though I'm creating some form here, I'm also trying to just block in things as far as the shape, and values. And I know I've mentioned the value thing before, but what value is I gotta flip this again. It's kind of off. Value being the darks and lights of a color or an object so that it looks three-dimensional. What did I think? How did I think this? Oh, I felt, oh yeah, okay. So this is, but there's this thing. What is this? How does that work? Is there a tool? Is this? I might be mixing up some tools somehow. I feel like this is very squared off with a little bit of roundness to it. I have no clue what I'm doing here. Alright, I'm going to have to send this video to Dawn because she was the one who said I should do this. I feel like it's horribly off here. But this one here this is probably a good example about on my other tools. I was familiar enough with them that I know how they're like built or how they function. And so like, let's give this one a rest here. So if we have this band here and this scoops, it's gonna have to be a, oh, there's a, I think there's like a rod. Is there a rod that comes down the middle? Me. Okay, so if there's a rod, it twists. It makes it so it twists this way to twist this back and forth. But I don't know how squeezing it turns the rod. But wait a minute, maybe I do, because this is where I think this thing comes in. I don't know what would be here, because I was thinking first maybe something's attached here and it like is around this somehow, and then I'm never gonna know. Well, I will know someday here, but when I get the ice cream scoop out. Okay, so we're getting rid of the spring thing. It was a good idea while it lasted. This is why your children should go to school, so they can learn things, how to put things together and make things, invent things. Okay. I think this all goes up further. Oh, I gotta get the rod back in there. Maybe I think I'm gonna make this handle a little bit thinner. I do think it's this, one side is larger than the other, but it could be they are the same, and what I'm doing is thinking about this rod that comes down the middle and it's just placed close to this. Why does it go down that way? I don't think it goes all the way down. There would be no reason for it to. But maybe it does. Maybe it gets enclosed in here somehow. All right. Could be on the wrong side too, but all right. Is there a second one? No. There's just one. I've been trying to do a nice contrast where very, very light areas against some dark areas. So like the scoop will end up probably being done in some grays. I guess all of it, but maybe I'll choose, make kind of some blue grays or something. And in that case, then I could probably put, maybe a yellow orange or I don't know. What would be good with ice cream color? Maybe. I guess ice cream colors come in. So I could kind of make that a brownish gray. This brown, that would be a derivative of orange, which could be then, I could use a blue. I have a lot of different blues. I use that Prussian blue on the whisk, and that was, I hadn't used that in a long time. It really was quite beautiful. Very, very rich. Let's think about how this is connected. Oops, covering up my round there. Let's redo this. Okay, I think it comes down to about here. Center rod, okay, and then slight angle. Okay, so where does this go? Does it go through? Like, is there a hole over here? I think it's, like, is this partially hollow? And how does this actually work? Is there a little tiny disc that makes it rotate? All right, well, been painting for a while here. Let's see. Put that in again, but pretty sure that must be like a hole there that it goes through. I don't think it's quite that long, but let's fix that. It's sunny out, but the wind is picking up. Okay, let's get the rod back in there. I'm pretty sure it's a rod. Maybe. I don't know. All right. That's a start. I will, I think I'm going to work on my other painting for a little bit. And maybe start a new big one. I got 2 of them framed today too, so, and then one I might have a little bit of touch up to do. Maybe I'll bring that one down. But that's, I think, it for the live today. I'll try and, I don't think I'll come back on later today here, but maybe tomorrow. I haven't been very good about telling people when I'm going to do this. It's kind of always, there we are. So, okay.